I thought I knew everything. I was so wrong. Scary story. The email from Finch landed like a punch to my carefully constructed reality. Subject line, Blackwood. An opportunity? I almost deleted it. Alistair Finch, my former mentor, was a relic, clinging to a world of ghosts and whispers I'd spent my career disproving. I, Dr. Elias Thorne, professor of parapsychology. The irony wasn't lost on me. Built my reputation on debunking. Seances? Psychological manipulation. ESP? Statistical anomalies. Haunted houses? Drafts? Mold? Suggestible minds. Finch, bless his aging heart, still believed. Curiosity, a dangerous thing, got the better of me. The email detailed Blackwood Manor, a decaying Victorian in a backwater town called Hollow Creek, Massachusetts. Significant paranormal activity reported, Finch wrote, his enthusiasm practically leaping off the screen. He'd been asked to investigate, but, citing his failing health, wanted me to take the reins. He knew I wouldn't refuse the challenge. Another cobweb-filled attic? Sarah Jenkins, my graduate assistant, asked, rolling her eyes. Sarah, bless her pragmatism, was a kindred spirit, skeptical, data-driven, and essential to my sanity. Blackwood Manor, I said, reading from Finch's notes. Extensive history of unexplained phenomena. Poltergeist activity, apparitions, whole shebang. Sarah snorted. Sounds like a realtor's wet dream. I smirked. Exactly, and it's my job to prove it's all hot air. Hollow Creek was exactly as the name implied, a hollow in the land, steeped in mist and history. The townspeople eyed us with a mixture of suspicion and morbid curiosity. Blackwood Manor loomed on a hill overlooking the town, a Gothic monstrosity swallowed by overgrown vegetation. The air around it felt heavy, oppressive. Charming. Sarah deadpanned as we unloaded the equipment. EMF readers, thermal cameras, audio recorders, vibration sensors. I even brought a good old-fashioned spirit box, just to humor Finch. The house was worse inside. Rotting wallpaper peeled from the walls, dust motes danced in the shafts of sunlight filtering through broken windows, and the air hung thick with the smell of mildew and decay. A chill permeated the place, deeper than the autumn air warranted. Definitely haunted, Sarah said, her voice laced with sarcasm. Definitely needing a good dehumidifier, I countered. For the first few days, nothing. The usual bumps and creaks of an old house, easily explained. Sarah dutifully recorded everything, her skepticism mirroring my own. We measured EMF fluctuations, faulty wiring probably. We detected cold spots, drafts, obviously. We captured strange sounds on the audio recorders, the wind whistling through broken window panes. See? I said, on the third evening, reviewing the data. Nothing but natural phenomena misinterpreted by overly imaginative people. Sarah chewed her lip. I don't know, Elias. Some of those temperature drops, they were pretty localized. And the EMF spikes, they were sporadic, not consistent with faulty wiring. I sighed. Sarah, correlation doesn't equal causation. We need concrete evidence, not just suggestive data. That night, things changed. It started subtly. A whisper. Barely audible, like the rustling of leaves. I dismissed it as my imagination, fatigue playing tricks on my ears. But then, the temperature in the room plummeted. The EMF reader went haywire, and a cold gust of wind snaked through the closed window. Did you feel that? Sarah asked, her voice tight. I tried to remain rational. The window probably wasn't sealed properly. Then, the lights flickered. On, off, throwing grotesque shadows across the room. A low growl, seemingly coming from the walls, filled the air. Sarah grabbed my arm. Elias, I don't like this. Neither did I. Over the next few days, the activity escalated. Objects moved on their own. Doors slammed shut. Shadowy figures flickered at the edge of our vision. The whisperer, as we began to call it, grew bolder. It scratched at the walls, leaving long, jagged marks. It manipulated the equipment, turning the spirit box into a cacophony of distorted voices. The messages started. At first, they were nonsensical phrases, garbled words plucked from the ether. But then, They became clearer, more directed. "Leave. You are not welcome here. This is our home." One evening, I found a message scrawled on the dusty mirror in the master bedroom, written in what looked like blood. "Elias." My blood ran cold. How did it know my name? "This is getting out of hand," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "We need to call it off." I refused. I couldn't. My reputation was on the line. I had to prove it was all a hoax, a trick of the mind. But deep down, I knew I was lying to myself. Detective Inspector Davies arrived on the scene. He was a gruff, no-nonsense man with a weary look in his eyes. Apparently, there had been a series of strange occurrences in Hollow Creek livestock, disappearing, unsettling noises in the woods, a general sense of unease among the townspeople. He was skeptical of our ghost hunting but couldn't deny the mounting evidence. "Anything you can tell me that might help explain this?" he asked, gesturing to the scratch marks on the walls. I hesitated. I don't know," I stammered. "We're still investigating." Davies raised an eyebrow. "Investigating what exactly? Ghosts?" I swallowed hard. "We're trying to determine the source of the phenomena." That night, the Whisperer turned its attention to me. It started with my dreams, horrific nightmares filled with shadows and distorted faces. I'd wake up screaming, drenched in sweat. Then, it moved into my waking hours. Whispers followed me everywhere. In the shower, in the kitchen, in my own head. "You're a fraud, Elias. You don't believe in anything. You're afraid." The whispers preyed on my insecurities, my past failures, my deep-seated fear of being exposed as a charlatan. I tried to rationalize it, to dismiss it as stress-induced hallucinations. But I knew, deep down, that it was something else, something malevolent. I called Finch. His voice was weak, frail. "Elias," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "You must be careful. Blackwood Manor, it's more dangerous than I realized. There are things that should not be disturbed." "What things?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Ancient things," he replied. "Things that feed on fear and doubt. Don't provoke it, Elias. Don't give it what it wants." He told me about the history of Blackwood Manor, whispers of witchcraft, ritualistic practices, and unexplained deaths. The house had been built on a site of ancient power, a nexus of spiritual energy. Previous researchers had investigated the house, but none had ever returned the same. "Get out, Elias," Finch pleaded. "Get out while you still can." But I couldn't. I was too far in. The Whisperer had me in its grasp. The next day, Sarah found me wandering through the house, muttering to myself. My eyes were bloodshot, my hair disheveled. "Elias, you need to stop," she said, her voice filled with concern. "This is destroying you." I pushed her away. "I have to understand," I said. "I have to find out what it is." She looked at me with a mixture of pity and fear. "It's not worth it, Elias." That night, the Whisperer isolated me. It shut down the equipment, locked the doors, and cut off all communication with the outside world. I was alone, trapped in the heart of Blackwood Manor. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They filled my head, drowning out my thoughts. "Join us, Elias. Become one with us. We can give you power." I stumbled through the house, trying to escape. But the walls seemed to shift and move, trapping me in a never-ending maze. I found myself in the basement, a dark, damp, and claustrophobic space. An altar stood in the center of the room, covered in strange symbols. The air thrummed with an unseen energy. The Whisperer spoke to me, its voice resonating from all directions. "You have been chosen, Elias. You are the key. Help us open the door." I knew with a chilling certainty what it wanted. It wanted me to help it break through, to unleash its power on the world. I refused. The room erupted in chaos. Objects flew through the air, shattering against the walls. The temperature plummeted to freezing. A dark figure materialized before me, its eyes burning with malevolent energy. It lunged at me. I screamed. Suddenly, the door to the basement burst open. Sarah and Detective Davies stood there, armed with flashlights and a fire extinguisher filled with holy water. a desperate measure suggested by the town's increasingly worried Father Michael. "Elias," Sarah shouted. "Get out of there." They charged into the room, spraying the figure with holy water. It recoiled, hissing and screaming. I scrambled to my feet and ran. We fled the basement, escaping back into the main house. The Whisperer pursued us, its power growing stronger. It threw furniture, shattered windows, and unleashed a torrent of paranormal energy. We fought back, using whatever we could find: religious artifacts, scientific equipment, even a rusty fireplace poker. It was a desperate, chaotic battle. We were outmatched, outgunned, fighting an entity that existed beyond our comprehension. Finally, we managed to drive it back. We cornered it in the master bedroom, the same room where I had found my name written in blood. "It's feeding on your fear, Elias," Sarah said, her voice hoarse. "You have to fight it. You have to believe in something." I looked at her, at Detective Davies, at the shattered remains of Blackwood Manor. I looked inside myself, at the fear and doubt that had consumed me for so long. And for the first time, I saw something else. Hope, courage, a belief in the possibility of something beyond the rational world. I stood tall, facing the Whisperer. "I'm not afraid of you anymore," I said, my voice clear and strong. "You have no power over me." The entity shrieked, its form flickering and unstable. It lashed out, trying to break me. But I held my ground, drawing strength from Sarah and Detective Davies. And then, it began to fade. Its power waned, its presence diminished. Finally, it was gone. Silence descended upon Blackwood Manor. A heavy, oppressive silence, but a silence nonetheless. We stumbled out of the house, exhausted and battered. The sun was rising, casting a pale light over Hollow Creek. Blackwood Manor stood behind us, a crumbling ruin. Its dark secrets seemed to be buried beneath the rubble. We left Hollow Creek that day. Detective Davies stayed behind to investigate the damage and try to make sense of what had happened. The townspeople, shaken by the events, began to rebuild their lives. I returned to my academic life, but I was no longer the same man. I could no longer dismiss the paranormal as mere superstition or scientific anomalies. I had seen too much, experienced too much. I still don't know what the Whisperer was. A malevolent entity? A manifestation of collective fear? Something else entirely? I may never know. But I do know this. Some things are beyond human comprehension. Some doors should remain closed. Weeks later, I was in my office grading papers. My computer was on, but the speakers were turned off. Suddenly, a single word echoed through the room. "Soon."